All right, so without further ado, Maria, I'll pass it over to you to do the introductions to the rest of your team.
Marina.
Sorry. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. What we're talking about today is the dangers of social media. Our objectives for this evening are to learn about different types of social media dangers, including disinformation, social media challenges, and cyberbullying. We're going to explore where children are getting their information, the negative effects on mental health, and discuss ways that you can protect your children from the dangers of social media. I'm here with Maria, and we have a special guest that we'll introduce shortly, but we want to thank you for taking the time out this evening. We know everybody has very busy schedules, and this is a very important topic for all of us, adults included. So we thank you for taking the time out to listen to our presentation and hopefully take some important messages away that you can share with your children.
Thank you, Marina. So I thought I could start us off today, just a little interaction. For those of you who feel comfortable, I'm about to show two pictures, and on the chat, you can just put A or B. So which picture shows the real fruit? So we're gonna go with picture A or picture B. I see some things coming in. Oh, great. I love it when we get a mixture of answers. All right, so I see some B's. I see an A, some B's, some more B's. Okay. So the correct answer is B. And if you look closely at the picture, the fake fruit is that is a little bit more shiny. Looks like it's photoshopped somewhat, very, very pretty. The B is a bit more natural. So that is our real fruit. All right, we're gonna do one more of these. Okay, so which statement is a true statement and how do you know? So you can do A and B again. So A, Black lions are protected by the Endangered Species Act and therefore are not allowed to be hunted. Or B, a fascinating fact about elephants is that they can hear through their feet. Oops, sorry, take that back. Okay, once again, some great answers coming in. I got some A's and B's, love it. Okay, so Christina shares B. I have a feeling they may be able to hear based on vibrations. All right, yes. So the correct answer is B. And that's, based on fact, right? Previous knowledge, perhaps. And in fact, if we are to research this, we would know that there is no such thing as a black lion. There are black lions that have there are lions that have black manes, but not an actual entire lion can be black. So there's no such thing as a fully black lion. All right, so this is gonna lead us to my part of the workshop, which is to discuss with you misinformation and disinformation. So what do these terms mean? Misinformation is false information that is spread regardless of intent to mislead. So mis, that root word, right, meaning got it all wrong, right? So just wrong information. And an example of that can be a person stating that a party is starting at 3 when it's really starting at 1. That's just misinformation. They're not, they just think that it starts at 3 without realizing it actually starts at 1, right? Disinformation is deliberately misleading or biased information. It's manipulated narrative or facts propaganda, right? So along with the first example that I gave you, that a party starts at 1 when it actually, a party starts at 3 when it actually started at 1, that's just wrong information. Disinformation would be telling someone the party was canceled, knowing that it wasn't canceled, right? So just so they don't show up. So that's more of manipulating the situation. All right. So what source are teens getting their news from? I think many of us on this call already know this. It's definitely not TV news, right? It's not the newspaper. And yes, we've guessed right, it is social media. In fact, in a survey conducted in 2019, it was determined that more than half of teens, which is 54% based on this research, get their news from social media. And they were getting most of their news from YouTube and Instagram. In a study in July of 2022, teens depended on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to get their news. Specifically, a research done on US teens ages 13 to 17 get their news more frequently from social media sites such as YouTube than direct news organizations. And 60% of students who get news from YouTube, this is really important, say they are more likely to get it from celebrities, influencers, and personalities as compared to news organizations. So many children are identifying with these influencers that they follow. Some of who are the same age as your children, possibly teenagers themselves, right? And this is a great risk of, it's a risk of over-trusting and sharing this information. So they're getting it from sources their age, right? And they're believing it and they're forwarding it and they're sharing this disinformation. So what do we know about children and mis and disinformation? The first thing we know, the one thing we know rapidly, is that they spread it among their peers, right? Children post to social media for many reasons. One, it's in hope of making something go viral, reaping the popularity and visibility that come with getting a lot of engagement, right? So the the attention that a teenager gets from this, right? Well, if I started this post and it gets shared by many of my peers, right? I'm the one that started it, it must be great. I get all the attention, it's wonderful, right? The second reason they post on social media is because it's perceived value and their value of their desire for self-expression and just socialization, right? Children have found that connecting via phone, via social media is one of the best ways to connect. And so that self-expression and that socializing, whether it's through gaming, whether it's through phone, chat groups, what have you, it's a way for them to express themselves and socialize. And lastly, because they are moved, one of the other reasons why they post on social media is because they're moved by the power of attraction of emotional or outrageous language to camouflage hoax, rumors, or manipulation. So they really care less about the accuracy of articles and their novelty. They're more interested in what kind of reaction it's going to get, right? What kind of message it's going to send. They're more interested in that. All right. What do we know about children and misinformation in regards to? They are targets to white nationalists and anti-democracy groups. Really, really important. I know myself, speaking for myself, who have, I have 2 teenage boys at home. This is something they often speak to me about. So I'll share a little bit and then I'll give you an example of this. So several tactics used to target young people online include, so sharing edgy content. So what does that mean? Give me 1 second. So one of the most common ways young people first encounter conspiratorial or anti-democracy ideas is through widely shared videos and memes that appear to the desire to be provocative or funny. These posts typically use misogynistic, homophobic, or racist language to mock people or groups for their identities or for simply being too sensitive and unable to take a joke, right? So these are those videos that they share, whether it's a racist joke, whether it's, again, making fun of of the LGBTQ community, making fun of transgender. These are videos that go around for fun to make kids laugh, right? So that's one. So that's one tactic, is sharing those edgy content. The second tactic is directly contacting young people online. So groups that deliberately target young people online use a step-by-step process that's actually called red pilling. They find children on social media, whether it's through media platforms, gaming forums, chat rooms, right? And they find ways to connect with the children. Talking to someone who appears to share a sense of identity, purpose, and community can be empowering experience for any young person, right? Especially if they don't already have these kinds of connections or there's relationships in their lives, right? These are kids that are vulnerable. These are kids that may not have many friends, maybe may not have close relationships with their family, maybe are struggling in their home life, in their school life. So the more deeply vested in the relationship they become over time, the less likely they will be to walk away once the group fully reveals its bigoted beliefs. So anti-democracy groups deliberately target online forums for people, like I said, who are perceived to be vulnerable. So these are disempowered teenagers. This could be teenagers with autism, children struggling with depression, etc. Lastly, another tactic is relying on social media algorithms to create rabbit holes and filter bubbles. So algorithms is something we should all know as parents. How do algorithms work with social media? So algorithms drive personalized news feeds, search results, content, and friend or group recommendations. And as such, they then organize online information, right? They're programmed to sort the information, rank it for relevance, and present it to users based on individual profiles developed by tracking user behavior. This enables the content, including political messaging, to be targeted very specifically. And as a result, algorithms can sometimes promote misleading conspiratorial content over factual information. A 2018 Wall Street Journal investigation found that YouTube's recommendation algorithm, which offers personalized suggestions about what users should watch next, is skewed to recommend videos that are more extreme and far-fetched than what the viewer started with. So this is when your children are liking certain videos, right? Based on their likes, based on what their friends are seeing, based on what whoever they're connected with on social media, right? This then generates more extreme videos, and it shows for those of you, I'm sure all of us are on social media at some point, right? It shows recommended videos, right? And so what it's saying is that they now then start presenting more extreme and far-fetched videos based on what your children and their friends are watching. So something to be really cautious about. I did miss something on my last screen, so I do want to go back because I think it's important on how they spread among peers. So I want to give an example of this. This just recently happened. I know it happens all the time, but a great example of this, I work at the high school in East Stroudsburg Area School District, and there was an incident not too long ago where an individual, a teenager did bring a gun to school. And no sooner did that happen, a Snapchat posting went around the school. All the children were sharing the Snapchat post. And in the Snapchat post, it was an individual who was stating that he was a past student who was looking to shoot up the school, and he was going to target North and South high schools. The interesting part about this Snapchat was that all the children missed a really important detail, which was Valley Stream North and South high schools, right? So had they done their research, had they caught on to Valley Stream, they would have known that this was actually not a Snapchat that was talking about our schools here at East Stroudsburg, but in fact, a school in Long Island, New York. And this is why it's so important, right? When our teenagers are just sharing this Snapchat, is for them to really know what is it that they're sharing. All right, so I'll move forward here. So what are some of the effects of mis and disinformation? So fear, confusion, panic, anger, anguish, anxiety, depression, stress. In a study that was conducted by Roca et al., and I will apologize because I don't have my notes here. I had some information here. Marina, would you mind sharing your screen? I'll stop sharing and go to this so that I can then read my notes, if that's okay. Does that work? I'll stop. This way I'm able to see my notes that I thought printed out, but apparently it didn't. And that's okay. All right, so thank you for working with me, Marina. I know you were set with your own. Thank you so much. All right, awesome. So what I want to say about this is that research actually shows that, let me just shorten this. Okay. That misinformation can actually trigger varied disturbances to an individual's perception of what fake news is, right? So individuals are actually more prone to fearful situations, being confused, and just more prone to fearful situations. And this fear and confusion can lead to an onset of panic. Milder symptoms inherent is a state of confusion that can include fatigue and stress, some insomnia, some anger. More complex symptoms can include an increase in a number of patients with anxiety and depression. This is actually what the research had shown. All right, go ahead to the next slide, Marina. All right. Awesome. So how can you as parents and caregivers protect your children from mis and disinformation? What we want to do is we want to encourage your children to ask themselves the following questions to increase their critical thinking skills. So we want to ask them, who created this post, video, or article, right? Who is the post, video article's target audience, right? So where is it coming from? Who's the target audience, right? Who's paying for this post, video, article? Who gets paid when you click on it, right? Whether it's a group that is purposely providing mis and disinformation, right? We want to make sure we know what it is that our children are clicking on. Who could be harmed from or benefit from this post, video, or article? Before I share this, is this going to hurt my peers in school? What is going to be the consequence of this? Let's stop and think what we're about to do before we click that, right? Does this post, video, article leave out any important information, right? And is this post, video, article credible? And if so, why, right? So how do we know, you can go to the next one, Marina. How do we know if this post is credible, right? There are many, many fact-checking sites, factcheck.org, snopes.org. They're not just fact-checking as far as the information, but also if a picture's been photoshopped or with a filter, right? Snopes.com will help you identify that. So these are all different kinds of sites that we want to use to be able to help our children check the credibility of whatever it is that they're sharing before they share. Okay. I'm just awesome. Okay. So in this next part of our section, I want to introduce to you our guest speaker, Ms. Jalen, who is a 6th grade student at JTL Intermediate School here at in the East Stroudsburg Area School District. And she has created an amazing video for us. And let's see here. She's presenting a project she created that matched greatly with our topic. Please take it away, Jalen. I had something. Jalen, go ahead and take it away, hon.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jalen, and the video you are about to see is made by me. It contains information about a few dangerous online trends and how you can keep your child safe on the internet. Some other ways you can ensure their safety that were not listed in the video are setting up parental controls and helping them create a strong password. Now, on to the video. It's the 21st century. Do you know what your kids are up to online? Teens spend a lot of time on the internet. Have you ever wondered what they are up to? Many of them spend time scrolling through photos, posting pictures, playing online games, communicating with friends, watching videos, etc. However, there's one online activity that can both be entertaining and very dangerous. These are social media trends that are called challenges. Viral social media challenges typically involve users recording themselves performing unusual, dramatic, funny, or risky actions and sharing this content with others who can perform the act themselves, thereby accepting, completing, and continuing to share the challenge. Social media challenges are popular among apps such as TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. While many challenges can be harmless and fun, others encourage risky behavior and can lead to dangerous outcomes. So, what are some of these challenges? First, there's a challenge called the Blue Whale Challenge, which consists of an account messaging you, asking for you to play a game. These accounts all have the same profile picture, so you can easily tell if it's legit or not. The game consists of major self-harm that is obviously bad for you, and it can damage your health. If you say no to doing these challenges or playing the game, the account will threaten to come to your location. This will make you want to play the game so that nobody comes and hurts you. Another challenge is called the Skin Eraser Challenge. You use the eraser on a pencil or one of those pink erasers and you erase layers of your skin. Obviously it hurts, but it is not fatal. It's just not good for your skin. There is also a challenge called the Cutting for Justin Bieber Challenge. People have literally carved phrases into their arm along the lines of #CutForBieber. And of course, most of the people who have participated in this aren't with us anymore. Some other trends that you may have heard of include the Tide Pod Challenge, the Benadryl Challenge, the Cinnamon Challenge, the Choking Game, and the Salt and Ice Challenge. Well, if you don't know already, you may be thinking, why are these trends so dangerous? Well, they are dangerous in the ways that they are because they can cause physical or mental harm to you and to others. They can cause serious injuries or poisoning. Some are fatal. Some can cause an eating disorder or body dysmorphia. And depression can stem from excessive cyberbullying for not participating. But don't worry, because you can prevent these things from happening to you and your child. What you can do is show interest by asking questions and getting involved, learn about the different types of social media that they are using, limit their uses of social media, monitor their usage by following them on social media and by keeping devices in a place you can see them. Set up parental controls that block and monitor certain websites. Talk to them about internet safety and cyberbullying. Remind your child to not share things like your age, birthday, face, date, or any other personal information until they know who this person is that they're communicating with on the other side of the screen. And the last thing that's the most important is be careful with what you and your child post. If you trust your kid, you may not have to worry about this, but some may need a little bit of extra help with being safe online. And remember, the way that you show yourself online is the way people there will see you. Whatever you do on the internet will leave a digital footprint, so be cautious when making your decisions.
Thank you so much, Jalen. That video was really amazing, and we thank you for participating tonight with us. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on some of the topics that Jalen did present in her video, and we're going to go into a little more detail on some of the different social media hazards. So first, I wanted to define cyberbullying: the use of electronic communication to bully a person, typically by sending messages of an intimidating or threatening nature. Cyberbullying includes sending, posting, or sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone else. It can include sharing personal or private information about someone else, causing embarrassment or humiliation. Some cyberbullying crosses a line into unlawful or criminal behavior, and that can include harassment. This is something we talk about with our students. They think sometimes just posting things on social media is frivolous. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. But if somebody feels that it was of a harassing nature, our school resource officers have given presentations that this can lead to charges of harassment. So children need to be aware that it's not just a message, a Snapchat, a post that doesn't mean anything. It's being dispersed in a matter of seconds to hundreds of people. So they need to understand that that can be a form of harassment. Some of the effects of cyberbullying include anxiety, increased social isolation, psychological stress can worsen with repeated abuse. Many kids are prone to, like Maria was saying, just falling into these rabbit holes of going into the different chat sites and social media sites, and they don't realize that the deeper they go, the more prone they are to being bullied. Being targeted by a cyberbully may increase your child's risk of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, feelings of worthlessness. If your child is being cyberbullied, their behavior may change in some of these ways. They may avoid talking to friends or socializing. They may seem especially quiet or withdrawn at home or isolating in their room. They might lose interest in activities that they previously found enjoyable. They might have difficulty concentrating on schoolwork, homework. You might see their grades falling. They might have trouble sleeping. They may express a desire to stay home from school or avoid related activities after school. They might seem angry, irritable, upset whenever they look at their phone. They might exhibit secretive behavior about what they've seen or done on their phone. They might hide their phone in your presence. They might abruptly stop using their phone. They may increase the use of alcohol or drugs, and they might make hopeless statements about their life being meaningful or increase talk of suicide. I wanted to share, this is a hyperlink, and these resources are available at the end of our presentation. A lot of great information is available on the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General. I'm going to click on it so that you can see some of the great resources that this website has. There's a link specifically related to get help, and you can click on kids. There's others, of course, but this is what I was focusing on for this presentation. And there's great resources here available for kids plugged in, educational programs, the laws surrounding your children, and of course, the cyber safety, protecting your children online. Many of the statistics in the next slide came from this website. So we know children, teens are using their phones, as are we, adults as well. We're not exempt from this. I think it might be higher than this, but according to this statistic, 80% of teens use a cell phone regularly, making it the most common medium for cyberbullying. Nearly 43% of kids have been bullied online. 1 in 4 has had it happen more than once. And sadly, only 1 in 10 victims will inform a parent or a trusted adult if they're being abused physically or online. So we need to be vigilant for our kids, and we need to make sure that we're talking to them specifically about being safe online, because it doesn't seem like that's something that is as harmful as somebody in school or something that happens in quote unquote reality, but it is more dangerous because of the ways that the information is getting out there. One of the best ways that we can try to model our behaviors for our kids, and I know I'm a parent also of 2 middle school girls, so the online stuff is really prevalent in our house as well. Try to set time aside where you put your phone down. If a kid is asking you a question and you're on your phone, the message is, your question isn't that important to me. So they need to see that you're also modeling what it is that you're trying to tell them. If you're driving and you get an alert notification, we're all guilty of that. We pick up our phone, we look at it, we get distracted. We're modeling for our teenagers what driving should look like. And believe me, they're watching. So these are things that we can take away ourselves, me included, just ways that we can be more cognizant of what we're doing and how we're portraying social media ourselves to our kiddos. So how can we keep our kiddos safe online? Communication is key. We need to talk to our kids about the dangers of the internet, the exposure to inappropriate content, harassment, bullying. The conversations need to happen frequently. It can't just be here's your brand new phone, and then we never revisit that again. As Jalen said, controlling access. We need to limit access on their devices. I know sometimes that isn't a very popular thing to do, but especially in the beginning when they're first learning how dangerous these devices can be, what's out there, we need to set the limits for them. You can install filtering, parental controls. There's ways to check their history. I'm not tech savvy, so I enlist my tech savvy friends to help with this. Everybody has one. Regularly monitor your child's online activity if you can. I mean, I think over time, there will be a level of trust that you build with your kids, and they may not have to do that as often, but in the beginning, your kids should know that you're monitoring their activity, just as you would if there was content on TV that you didn't want them to watch, or movies that you didn't think that were appropriate. Social media has all of that there, so we need to be aware. And sometimes even an innocent search could lead to things that may not have even occurred to you that would pop up. That happened to me in a project that my kids were doing. We were searching My Little Pony, and yeah, things came up. So it's definitely something to be aware of and to research these things yourself. Turn off the devices at bedtime. Sleep is so important for your kids, for us as well. I find myself doing this at night. I have my downtime. What do? I'm scrolling. And before I know it, it's like 11:30 and I should have been in bed 2 hours ago. So we do this ourselves. Our kids are doing this in their rooms. If they have their devices in their rooms, they're probably not going to sleep when they say they are. So I think, sometimes we need to store them outside of the room just so that they can get a good night's sleep. Establish an online safety plan, set age-appropriate rules for internet use, know your child's passwords. They're probably going to change them on you. So, just know that your kids are a lot more savvy probably than you are at the use of technology. Advise your child to never give out personal information, even if it seems like it's to somebody that they think that they know, a name, a phone number. Even posting things like you're going on vacation leaves you vulnerable to online predators. The name of your school, your parents' names. Sometimes people, like Maria was talking about, are looking for that information to take identities. They know that common passwords include names, date of birth, addresses, things like that. So they're, even some of those fun online games, I was told, your favorite color, all of those things that people post just for curiosity's sake. A lot of that is for cyber hackers to be able to get your personal information. So tell your kids about this. It's not that, you know, you're trying to scare them, but you're just trying to educate. And know the warning signs. If your child spends an excessive amount of time online, you know, we're all spending an excessive amount of time online. You could track that, and your kids could track it. All of the devices tell you how much time you're spending. So that could be a good learning tool for you and your kids to say, oh my goodness, I spent 4 hours today online. I didn't even realize it. Especially late at night, turn off the computer. Kids are doing this when parents enter the room. They turn off their phone, they hide their phone. That's a clear indicator that they don't want you seeing things. And that might be a good start of a conversation. If your child receives unknown calls or makes long distance calls or receives mail or gifts from unknown people, also red flags. And using an online account that doesn't belong to them. This happens a lot with kids, and then they feel like they have some anonymity from posting different things. They'll use fake accounts. They'll create fake Instagram accounts. Like I said, they're much more savvy than we are. So we just need to be aware, and just open dialogue is really the key here. And setting out time when you do check in with your kids. You put the devices away and you just know what's kind of going on in their lives and who they're spending time with. So that is a lot of information. We just wanted to give you our contact information. If you have any questions or thoughts about the presentation, or you just want to get in touch with us, here are our email addresses. We know there's so much more that can be said about these topics, and really we just touched on a lot of them, but we wanted to kind of give you a little gist of some areas where you can feel more empowered as parents to really help your kids, because we all have these devices, we use them every day. We just need to be more cognizant of how we are using them and what our kids know. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
And I think Ken just shared, so Ken just shared the Google Doc. Is that for the evaluation, Ken?
Yes, I'm trying to, I realized, there we go. So thank you, everyone. But here, I just shared a link to a survey. If you have the time, please open the link and complete the survey. It's a quick little survey. Gives us some feedback on the presentation. It helps us for future trainings. Like I said, thanks everyone for participating. I think our special guest had to log off because I believe it is a school night. And but I appreciate the time and effort that she put in, and I appreciate her teachers for reaching out to me and making that connection to make this happen today. So I think it was an awesome experience to bring the students' perspective and such a well-made video into the training. So the training today is going to it is being recorded. I will have a link or a file to share out for those interested in watching it again or sharing it with somebody else. Our plan is from this point moving forward with our parent and caregiver workshops to record the sessions and create a resource for parents. So the trainings from this point on this year and any trainings we do next year and beyond, we'll have a home on our website under a parent resource. So just to make everyone aware of that. Just want to open it up in case there are any questions from the parents that remain on. If they have any questions for the presenters today on specific issues or concerns you have with social media, you can unmute yourself, ask the question. It's a small enough group where we can do that. Again, anybody have any questions, please feel free to either post or to present. All right. It doesn't seem like there's any questions. So again, if there are any additional questions down the road, you have our email addresses. Something comes up tonight or tomorrow that you're thinking of, you want to send us a question, we can certainly respond at a later time. Other than that, let me stop the recording.